Okay, so this time, as you can see, we've added what we call a phase into our angle. So if the angle was just X, now we've added to that angle a certain phase. So it's as if we've shifted the signal. Okay, so now how do we solve these? Basically, what they're telling us to do here is to keep the angle part of the equation as if you had capital X equals small x plus 30. So you keep that together until the very last steps. So let's have a look at an example. So if I've got 2 cos x plus 30 equal 1, if I want to keep that till the last, what do I need to do to the 2? So divide by 2 both sides, yeah? So that's the first thing we will do. So when you do that, you get cos x plus 30 equal a half. Now, in order to find what this angle is, x plus 30, you just take inverse cos. On your calculator, it's cos minus 1 over half. And when you do cos minus 1 over half, you get 60 degrees. So far, we've solved an equation and we've just found the angle associated with x plus 30. So this is quite easy now. So we know we've got 2 solutions because cos is positive. So CAS tells us that the C is at the bottom right, which is the 4th quadrant, and all positive in that 1st quadrant. So I need to add 360 to my answer. So I've got 60 degree and 360. Sorry, I need to take away 60 from 360. So 360 minus 60 is 300. So I've got my 2 answers. But remember, I've found here x plus 30. Now, how do I find x? Minus 30 both sides. So that's what they mean by keep it right to the end. Because I was looking for x itself instead of x plus 30, you do minus 30 for this one and minus 30 for that one. And that gives you your answer, x equals 30 or x equal to 70. And that works because we've been told at the start, find x such that 0 is less than x, which is less than 360. You quickly check your answers. They are between 0 and 360, and that's how you find your answer. Okay. So very similar to what we've done. So if you're comfortable with what we've done so far, just take it right to the end and just decide. If it was x minus 30, you would add 30 to both sides. Yeah. So that's what they mean by adding an angle. So now I'm going to ask you to do this one. I'll give you 2 minutes. They've even told you here. Remember, if range is in radians, you need now to change everything that talks about angles from radians into degrees. Okay? If that's the way you want to do this question, because my calculator is set into degrees. So what is 0.2 radians in degrees? So think about it. I want to make it degrees, so I've got to time by degrees and divide by pi, yeah? So that's the first thing we should find out. 0.2 radians is how many degrees? So 11.45, or we can round it to 11.5 if you want, to 1 decimal place. So 1 decimal place, 11.45 should be 11.5, yeah? So that's the first thing we've done. 0.2 radians equals 11.5 degree. And now I can work as if these were in degrees. Okay, so what you've got to solve this time is 5 sine x minus 11.5 degree equal -4. So how would you solve that? Remember what they say earlier on, we need to keep that right to the end. So what is bothering me in front of sine? 5. So what do I do with the time? Do the opposite, which is dividing by. So you would divide both sides by 5. So I would get sine x minus 11.5 degree equal -4/5, yeah? So far, so good. Now you're going to use your cast diagram to help you out to find where your angles are. So remember what we said? Here, are we looking for a negative or a positive answer? So we will find a positive one, but the final answer should be in the negative area. So where is sine negative? Here and here, because it's positive here and there. And here I've got 180 minus alpha, and sorry, plus alpha. And here I've got 360 minus alpha. So what I'm looking for is alpha such that alpha is just inverse sine of 4/5, yeah? You don't need to put 0.8, you can leave it at 4/5, same thing. So we need to find two values for this. So sine is negative in the third and fourth quadrant. So the first thing we do, we ignore the minus sign and find the related angle in that first quadrant. So we're gonna look for alpha. Alpha is just inverse sine of 0.8, and that gives me 53.1. That's one decimal place. Now that I've got 53.1, I know that my answer is 180 plus 53.1 and 360 take away 53.1. These are my two answers. But these 233 and 306 are for this, remember, x minus 11.5. So now how do I find x? If I've got x minus 11.5 equal 233, what? Plus, yeah, you add 11.5 both sides and you've got your answer. 233.1 plus 11.5, which gives me 244.6, and 306.9 plus 11.5, which is 318.4. So do I leave it like that? What was the start of the question, remember? What did they ask us? That's why we did this, remember? So the answer is expected in radian. So far I've got degrees. What do I do to my degrees to make them radians? Remember, to remove a degree, you need to divide by a degree. So I need to divide by 180. I want this to be radians. Because it's degree, if I divide by a degree, the unit will go, and then I multiply by pi, it's going to be radian. So if you think like that, it should come much easier, right? Because if I time by 180, it's not degree that I'm going to have degree square. So we don't want degree squares. We want radians. Okay. So 2446 divided by 180 times pi, which is 4.27. And then the other one, 318.4 times pi divided by 180 is 5.56. Yeah. And remember, they've asked me to give my answer between 0, yeah, less than x, less than equal to 2 pi. What is 2 pi? How much is 2 pi? In degrees, but what is 2 pi radians? How many radians? Give me 2 decimal places. Pi is 3.14. What is 2 pi? 6.28. So the answer that you need to give me have got to be between 0 and 6.28. Is that the case here? Yes. Is that the case here? Yes. So if during a test you come up with something bigger than 6.28, ask yourself a question. Have I done the right thing here? Because they've told me that my answer should be between 0 and 6.28. So think about pi like a number sometime. And that's why I keep telling you, it's easier to switch onto degrees, but when you put back into radians, you have a way to double check your answer because pi is just a number. Yeah. And this is a quick and easy way for you to check your answer. Okay. And that's what math should be. Math shouldn't be, oh, that's what my calculator gives me. That's what I'm going to put. Because we human, we can make an error during a manipulation. I can type a 7 instead of a 6. I can type a 9 instead of an 8, and that would push that out. But the only way to find out is, oh, there's somewhere something wrong here, is go back through my steps and find out exactly where I've gone wrong. And that's where math shouldn't be a difficult way to get a mark, because there are plenty of ways to check your work. If I've given you an English essay to write, you can reread the essay 10 times. You're not going to know what the teacher is going to mark you. Whereas in math, you've got a chance to say, you know what? I've got a good chance that my answers are correct. That's why people shouldn't be afraid of math. You should be able to get more marks in math than you would get in any other subject, because you can check your work. Yeah. Especially when you're given these guys. All right. So this is worksheet number 8, I think. So I'm going to let you do a couple of them. So you're going to do this one and this one, and I'm going to pause. So as you can see, you've got one that is in 360 degree and another one with pi radian, and I'm going to pause the recording. Okay. Okay, for our last part. So solving this equation, I'm going to write down sine 2x, take away 0.6, add 0.6, take away 0.6, both sides should give me sine 2x equal negative 0.6, yeah? So the next thing is basically when you've got sine 2x, you've got two periods within 360. Okay, so can you see them? You've got a first period and a second period. So that means the period for this is not 360, but it's 360 divided by 2, which is 180. So if I do sine 2x equal negative 0.6, how many answers am I looking for here? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Because we've got two periods. So how do we get to the answers? We can use cast again to help us. Okay. So you would say 2x is inverse sine of 0.6, as if we were looking for the positive value of cast. Remember the positive angle here. that I keep calling alpha. So it's what we call the related angle to that first quadrant. Now I'm getting 2x equal 37 degree when I do inverse sine of 0.6. So that's the first quadrant. But remember, I'm looking for 2x sine that is negative. So where is sine negative? Where it's not positive. In this quadrant and in this quadrant. So here we said we get 180 plus. So we need to get 180 plus 37 and 360 minus for this side. So you write 2x equal 217. Which is your 180 plus 37. And the 360 minus 37, which give me 323. At this stage, because you're looking for 4 answers, you treat 2x as if it was the 360 period. Okay, so you add 360 to your first answer, and then you add 360 to your second answer. And now you've got 4 answers. But those are 2 x's. How do I find x? If 2x equal that, x is just that divided by 2. That divided by 2. This one divided by 2, and this one divided by 2. That's how you find your final x. You divide them all by 2, and then you get 108.5, 161.5, 288.5, and 341.5. And look at the answer. We've been told to get an answer between 0x and 360. Are all my answers within 0 and 360? Yeah, so I've checked that what I've given there makes sense. And these are the 4 points here. This point here, 108.5, this one here, the third one here, and the fourth one here. So we're going to practice, because you need to be careful with that multiply of x. If it's 2x, you're looking for 4 answers. If it's 3x, you're going to look for 6 answers. If it's 4x, you're going to look for 8 answers. So you can see how it is. When it was 1x, we were looking for 2 answers, and that's what we worked on just now, okay? You double the number of the one answer. If it's 2, it's 2 times, 3 times, so on. Okay? So you can see that once you know the basics, if visually you can see what you're looking for, then it becomes a bit easier to solve these. And these were higher trig. Yeah, but they were not that difficult if you understood what you were looking for. Okay, so now let's solve this one. I've got 2 cos 3x minus 1 equals 0. So straight away, think about it. You go 3x. How many answers am I looking for? 6. So that's what should be triggering you to start with. I'm looking for 6 answers here because I've got 3 periods within 360. They've asked me to solve it within 360 as well. So I don't have to worry about radians and change it. So the first thing I would do is to get my first mark. Remember, guys, every time you're going to get your first mark is to do with solving the equation. Treat cos 3x as if it was a big X. So rearrange it. I get 2 cos 3x equal 1. Now I divide by 2 both sides, and I get my cos 3x equal a half. That should be everyone marks. Everyone should be getting that at least, because it's just pure algebra. So even if you didn't know much about trig, you should nail this one. The next one is to solve 3x. Find out first using cast where I'm supposed to be. So I'm supposed to have an angle here and 360 minus that angle here. So I'm going to look for an angle that gives me cos that angle equal a half. So consider what solutions are expected. That's what we've done. So cos 3x equal a half. 3x is just inverse cos of a half, which is 60. That was the first answer. Cass told me that the fourth quadrant should get your second answer, 360 minus 60, yeah? So those are my first, 60 and 300. We said 3 times 2, I need 6 answers. So you need to add 360 to this, 360 to this. Then your 2 answers, add again 360 and 360, and you'll have your 6 answers. So 420, 660. Now add 360, you'll see 780, 1020. 3x equal all these. What is x? Divide by 3. And that's all your answers. 20, 100, 140, 220, 260, and 340. And quickly, I'm looking at all my answers. Like I said, I could have made a mistake. They're all within 0 and 360. So there's a good chance that what I've given here is the right answer. Okay? Not too hard. Just a bit of thinking. So graphically, what we've solved is this. I said cos with 3 periods within 360 equal a half. I found this point, this point, this one, 4, 5, 6 answers. So basically that's what I've solved here. Cos 3x equal a half. Or 2 cos 3x minus 1 equals 0. Your answers. Yeah, so now that makes more sense, what you were looking for, and you can see it visually. Okay, so now that you know what you need to do, I'm gonna let you practice this. I'll give you 5 minutes because this one has got a wee bit of a radiance, as you can see. So I'm gonna pause the recording